You crazy.
Have we been rolling this whole time?
Yeah. Oh,
sweet.
jeez.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Riffs.
Yeah.
Some good stuff
Yeah.
in there.
Recut
For
it.
the Patreon.
For the patriotics.
For the clips.
Parang Patreon.
All right.
Patron.
Is Patreon free? You have to pay?
You have to
Patreon?
pay.
They
Yeah.
have to.
They have to pay $300.
Yeah.
Cool setup. I
Dang.
didn't know you were setting it up. Nice.
He's always setting something up.
Yeah.
That's the assist.
What's up, Pandeez?
Welcome to another episode of the pandesoul podcast.
where we explore the flavors of being Filipino and American.
We're your hosts. I'm the Dre Magics.
I'm the fictitious professor.
And I'm EJ Villiaman, and we hope you're hungry.
Because there's plenty to go around. What's up, Pandeez? Welcome back to another episode of the Pandesoul podcast, a.k.a. the funniest podcast on the internet.
Peach Mango Podcast.
Peach Mango podcast.
Guapo and Pogi podcast.
The Gangster and Prankster podcast. And the Pineapple Apple podcast.
Yes. All of our aliases. We haven't done that in a
I
while.
know, dude.
8 aliases.
Also, the #1 podcast on that one website
Oh, yeah.
that no one's probably heard about.
Congrats, guys.
That's you too, fool.
We still?
All of us as a team.
Yeah.
What is that website? Well, thank you for that website for naming us the #1
Add it in post.
Philam podcast.
Thank you. Put the website here for featuring us on the top Filipino American podcast.
We're just giving EJ more work to do.
It's okay. Give me the work.
Wow.
Yeah.
You gonna
Bring
get
it
this work?
on. Huh?
You gonna get this work?
I will.
We're your hosts. I'm the Dre Magic.
I'm the fictitious professor.
And I'm EJ Villiaman.
And back again for another episode. Life empowerment coach, host of the Artistry and Life podcast, and second best player at the weekly Tuesday Bosco game. Give it up for Mark King.
Hey.
What's up? How you guys doing?
Did you catch that last part?
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
That was a
one.
chip
Dude,
shot.
I'm on a streak.
Are
First
you?
of all, dude, I haven't
job.
lost the last 4 times.
Did you beat me last time?
What do you mean? We both came out winning.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
I'm not against you. I'm against money.
Yeah. I'm not against money.
Yeah.
I'm against those people trying to take my money.
Is that how poker works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You accrue all the resource, just
Yeah.
like corporate America.
Oh, it's not like Catan? Oh, that is
Wow.
like Catan.
It is exactly like
Yeah.
It is.
but with financial burdens.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't like Catan.
I know you
Really?
don't.
You guys play? You play that shit?
You play?
I don't know what the
I didn't mean to call it shit for you Catan players.
Because
No, it's like the shit.
You have to play with us. The
Yeah.
3 of us. Team building. Just give it a try.
Yeah.
I don't want to trade none of this sheep for that wood.
What?
Dude,
No.
this wood's free.
You never say that by itself either.
I'm gonna say it a lot playing Catan.
Hey,
It's like your settlers.
you gotta get bricked up in Catan.
Yeah.
It's like your settlers, and you gotta like build a cabin and shit like that.
You know, you build settlements
And then you upgrade it
What's
to
a
and
settlement?
roads.
Cabin.
God damn it.
Yeah.
multiple.
Catan.
Cabins.
And then you get a city.
Cabron.
Kapao.
Do you what kind of game are you? Did you grow up? You didn't grow up in the Philippines, right? You grew
No.
up in Georgia.
Well, no. I was born in Chicago and did a lot of moving around. Spent some time in Georgia, but California.
Did you take a train?
So again?
Georgia?
At midnight.
I mean, there it
Nice.
is. I was trying to do an EJ level setup.
Yeah.
I think
No, but
I started too early.
I did leave my home in Georgia,
Nice.
Ah.
To go where?
headed for the Frisco Bay.
Oh, there it is. Nice.
Ah.
But I left my heart in San Francisco
Oh.
and left my wallet in El Segundo.
Ooh.
Dang.
My grandma got run over.
By
Nice.
The most like random.
Yeah.
Did you always have? Okay, what are the most? Because you have a podcast as well, right?
Yes.
Why'd you do that? Imposter syndrome. Why the fuck?
What's
you don't
that
like it?
hesitancy?
We're gearing back up. We're
Yeah.
gearing back
You
up.
don't
We-
like it
we-
when I call it out?
we-
You
we-
have a podcast.
We have a
though.
podcast. We have
All
a
right.
podcast.
What are the most boring and like trifled podcast questions that people ask, or you know what I mean? It's always like featured on every pod. Just
Okay.
just so I can, curate the ones like these ones a little bit better.
Okay.
But also we're making fun of you other podcasts.
Us included.
You know.
Leave a comment
what's
if you
the
thought
shit
our leave a comment if you thought we had a boring episode.
Engagement baiting.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Engagement baiting. Master.
Yeah.
Master
master,
engagement.
master level.
Yeah.
You know.
Go.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on that because the format that we do, we're interviewing each other, so it's not like we're getting any questions from the outside.
Okay. But they're like some podcasts you'll watch,
Right.
and you're like, why are they asking this?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Like that. Sorry.
yeah. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I can't think of anything right now.
What do you guys-
Do you not like getting questions about yourself? Like, oh, so how'd you get into this, or what? Like those typical questions.
No, I don't mind those type of questions. I think those are great because context is a big thing.
Yeah.
So getting that context, that information informs how you're listening. Maybe, yeah, how you're listening to it, like what you're going to extract from the dialogue, like knowing where that person is from or what their background is.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It reminds me of I went to specifically Asian American entertainment empowerment conference, and so they had panels and stuff like comedic panels, like music, like in a specific industry, and when they would open up for questions, everybody would be asked like, "Oh, were your parents supportive or were they against it?" And then it was to the point where one of the panelists was like, "Okay, let's get this out of the way," and then all five of the panelists, it's like, answer like the 5 questions that everybody is gonna ask.
Right,
Like, were your parents supportive? What got you into blah blah? So it was like real quick, so then that way they can get into like the deeper questions.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
What got you interested in life coaching? What got you interested in magic
Right.
or music?
Yeah. You don't like
yeah.
those questions?
or like were your parents supportive or not? It's like it's a kind of binary question. Where it's like they either were or they weren't.
Yes. Next question.
And then once it became a career, then it's like they had to.
How do you make them feel bad about asking that question? No, my parents are gone.
Yeah.
They killed each other.
Because I started this profession.
My biological parents or my adopted parents?
I know one of them. I don't know 3 of them.
What about for you? Like, what are some of the questions that they're just like, man, I got to answer this one again, or like what?
Yeah, because a lot of the pods I listen to are about like shit that I like.
Right.
So I'm already like contextualized into that world. Like if I'm listening to a magic pod, right? I don't need to know like how did you get started in magic?
Right.
I want to know like the theory stuff. I want to know like I want to see what your brain comes up with crazier shit, right? I don't need even listening to maybe like a musician that I like. I don't want to hear I don't want to hear Bruno Mars's like coming up story. I want to hear about like, oh, what made you decide to take this in this way, or like, are you pressured by all these like communities that put their faith in like what you
Right.
do? You know what I mean? I want to know like the kind of shit that if I were in a room with you, I would ask. And maybe I'm like a small part of the population because maybe a lot of people really like, I know a lot of people really like Taylor Swift and want to hear her story over and over and over
Right.
again.
Right.
But don't you want like, what's next? The future shit, or like how do you navigate through being known as the like breakup lyricist or whatever you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like shit like that.
Like Nardwuar level questions.
Yes.
Like who?
Nardwuar,
Is that like
the human serviette. He's this
From the Bible. That sounds like
he's this interviewer on the internet, and he asks like really really deep questions.
Oh, okay.
And he does his research, and he knows these like crazy things about artists.
Like the Hot Wings guy?
Like
Yeah.
even more
'Cause I like that.
even more deeper than Sean Evans.
Okay.
Those are like the two sort of like avatars for great interviews is like Sean Evans and Nardwuar.
Yeah.
Pandesoul podcast.
Soon to be.
And Artistry and Life podcast.
Yeah.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Asking us the real questions.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what's your favorite Tagalog cuss word?
What's your favorite Phil-Am porn star?
Yeah.
Ember Snow, yeah.
Oh, I just got
Oh.
what you said.
Yeah.
The like cuss word thing.
Yeah.
Dude, no one asked that on that red carpet.
No, I
That's
think
a
that was
great
great.
question.
I think it was a great
Yeah,
question
and then now,
for that. But for the podcast, I don't know.
Nobody's asked
What do you
me.
mean?
Nobody's asked me
I
what
mean,
my.
that was for the podcast.
unsolicited,
Yeah, what's for the-
unsolicited
Hey, nobody's asked me what
advice.
my favorite Tagalog cuss words is.
what is your favorite?
Anak ng pucha.
I mean,
My dad would say, "Anong leche?" And I was like,
What's milk?
What's milk?
What's milk got to
What
do
does that
with it?
mean? What does that mean?
Dang.
He told me what it meant, but I forgot what he meant.
Filipinos.
It seems like the
It's
clean
history.
version
Yeah.
of something.
Yeah.
There's so many sanabas.
yeah,
Anak ni.
Anak ng pucha, anak ng gatas,
Yeah.
anak
Sanabas.
ng tokwa,
Anak ng tarsier.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
anak ng baboy.
it's
There's
new.
so many.
Yeah.
Cannabis,
Kind of. Oh.
sanabas. I really like the word poke.
Nice.
It's great.
It's good.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
No.
Well,
Yes.
poke woman,
Yeah.
woman poke.
Show you poke.
Wow.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
Poke everybody. Well, I don't know. What was it? What were we talking about?
What
Favorite
kind
cuss
of
word?
what kind of questions we're tired of
What's
hearing?
milk?
What's milk? What's milk?
What's milk got to do
You know
with
what the great thing about podcasts? One of the great things about podcasts is that you can just fast forward through all the bullshit questions
it? Oh yeah.
That's true.
and then go into the deep one. Because sometimes what I'll do is I'll listen to a podcast, but sometimes I'll just start in the middle, and if it sounds interesting, then I'll back it up
Yeah.
to that talking point. And if that interests me, then I'll back it up more.
Oh wow,
Interesting.
Yeah, sometimes.
that's kind of a good method.
Yeah, because in the very beginning, it's all about the introductions
Yeah.
and then what they're going to talk about, and then the preliminary questions, and then it's like the real
Yeah.
meat.
You know, like
Yeah.
what we just did.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
yeah. Here, fill out this.
Fill out this
thing.
questionnaire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those of you literally just tuning in right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just rewind.
Yeah.
Hi. Here's the pandesoul. We do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Re-intro in the middle.
Back to one. Back to one.
Yeah.
What's a mid roll?
Yeah.
We mid roll their ass. Yeah, I don't know. What podcast do you listen to that is for entertainment and not self help?
Oh man, for entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any podcasts out there that I really listen to consistently for, except for you guys
Dang, what
on this hole
Yeah.
in the house. Yeah, most of the content that I listen to has to do with
self improvement.
self-improvement, coaching, coaching business. I listen to a lot of Lewis Howes, Jay Shetty, Christine Hassler's another person that I listen to a lot. But we talked about the Cat Williams interview with Shay Shay.
So good.
That was a great one.
So good. We're going to release. It's probably been like 3 weeks since that interview came out when this pod comes out.
Yeah.
But still, so good. That's
That
like
shit was fire.
2024 energy.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I've
gonna
been,
start rubbing my legs a lot more.
Nice.
Just tell them that I tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been using that. I've been using that pod as a fucking litmus test
Mm,
to see who like I'm gonna ride with this year.
right.
It's like because there's a few people that are like, oh, it's like he shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, oh, okay,
You're on the wrong
Yeah.
side.
wrong side of the tracks, baby.
Well, it's interesting what he had brought up. You know, there's some comics that he talked about that was just like, I wasn't really. I mean, they're funny comics, but there was always something where it's just like there wasn't that whatever X factor in it. And then when Cat Williams talked about some of those guys, like, oh, maybe that's what was going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And he was,
And then all the comics he did talk about, like that were good,
mhm.
I agreed.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
right?
I
Like,
agree too.
when he talked about Chappelle, I'm like, as controversial as he's been,
Yeah.
he's good at joke writing.
He's brilliant.
Yeah. It's just a shame just because, like, I started listening to comedy in that Kings of Comedy generation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've always thought Bernie Mac was the best
He
one.
was the best. Always the best.
Do you know about what happened to him during the, what was the thing he was on?
Def Jam?
Def Jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I was like comic view or Def Jam. It was Def Jam.
Mm.
Do you know like the whole lore behind that whole thing?
No.
So
but that's I remember watching that set many years ago, and I was like, wow, this guy
Yeah.
is on fire, dude.
Yeah. So what
I ain't
happened
scared
that
of
night?
nobody.
That's the set,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That whole night, it was because it was the Apollo. No one fucking lasted the Apollo, right?
No, it wasn't at the Apollo. It was at the Def Jam Studios. That particular set.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so no one was laughing that night, and I think he was last or he was later on in the show, and so what happened is he goes up to the DJ
Yeah.
and he goes, "Whenever I say kick it,
Oh, that's
you
right.
play my song."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every time a joke didn't land, like some other comedians we know, instead of like blaming the writers,
Uh-huh.
Right.
like I didn't write it or whatever,
Yeah.
he would, even if a joke landed or didn't land,
Yeah.
he would go, "Kick it," and the song would play for a little bit,
Yeah.
for like 8 bars, and he would go, "I ain't scared of you motherfuckers,"
I ain't scared.
Yeah.
and then just go straight back into the set. So if you watch the set,
Okay.
he does it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
After every punchline.
Yeah.
And as the more he did it, the more it built into this crazy like thing.
That
Yeah.
crowd was on fire that
Yeah.
night too. He killed it.
Yeah.
He killed it.
But I saw the episode, the whole episode,
Yeah.
as it aired. Not like as it aired, but like I went back and in sequential order of the comics.
Correct.
Who else was on that set?
It was like Hamburger.
Oh, Hamburger.
And
Yeah.
he was the other good one.
yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah. He's an OG one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the other comics aren't really memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember Bernie Mac. I'm like, oh, no one else really did well
Yeah.
on this night.
Uh-huh.
But Bernie Mac, because of that little stint or like whatever you call it, was smart enough to know like, oh, this is what's gonna get him.
It might need a little more juice with this thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting because when I do remember that, because I do remember him saying, what's his DJ Kid? What's his name?
I don't remember.
So, I forget his DJ
Yeah.
Kid something.
Jason Kidd.
Kid Rock. I don't know.
Kid,
Basketball player.
DJ Kid Larry.
Kidney.
Kid Lot.
Kinila.
Anyway, he would say kick it, and then he would do right after that beat, he'd say kick it.
Yeah.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
So good.
Interesting.
Bernie Mac. That guy was genius.
R.I.P.
And he was good in Ocean's 11.
Oh,
Mhm.
Like the whole Ocean series, he was like great.
Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
Was he in Charlie's Angels?
One of them.
Oh, I
He was
forgot.
Bosley.
He was Bosley. Yeah. I think it was the
Yeah.
second Bosley.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because like all the movies that he was in white Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Yeah.
Hollywood, but
Charlie's
Right.
Angels.
it's white Hollywood.
Right.
Even the Ocean series.
Yeah, Ocean's
Yeah.
Eight, yeah.
He didn't overplay his blackness,
Mm.
and he just was a good actor
Yeah.
Yeah.
in all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
By just being who he is.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like that's really a testament.
Which you
to,
couldn't say about those other comics that,
Hell no.
like Steve Harvey and Cedric,
Yeah, because all the stuff they did was
somebody else's stuff.
Yeah. That.
that, but also targeted towards, like, I want to say, urban America.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like the series was targeted for that,
Okay.
as opposed to like
The whole.
maybe like the Cosby Show was targeted for the masses
Mm.
that featured a Black American family,
Yeah.
right? Where
Right.
like we'll say in Living Color or Martin
Mhm.
was very like towards that specific community,
Mm.
right? Yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, but just the stuff like Bernie was in and like people that transcend their culture, which is fucked up to say,
Mm.
right? Do you think there's ever going to be a Phil-Am or Filipino that transcends the culture into that in a graceful
Oh, like
way?
the mainstream.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like, Joe Coy has kind of done that, right? Like his stuff was very Filipino centric in the beginning. At least that's what put him on the radar.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why I actually didn't really like some of his comedy, the very early stuff that I saw, because it was all stuff like
Accent.
it's the same thing that I did sketch comedy back in the day, and we were doing all that shit that he had done. He had talked about.
Yeah.
So like, there was that context for me. But as he started to grow and evolve as a comedian, like his stuff became more mainstream shit, and then other cultures could actually relate and laugh to that shit. That was fucking. I thought that was pretty. That was awesome to see.
Yeah,
Right.
when he actually wrote jokes and like told stories that weren't necessarily about being Filipino.
Yeah.
That's the comedy part.
Yeah,
That's still
yeah.
like, you know.
Or if the
Right.
joke that he's telling, and he just so happens to be Filipino, not
Right,
because
right.
he's Filipino. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like there was more depth and it was able to reach a wider audience and other people, like just
mean-
even with in different cultures, like Hawaiian Filipinos or
Yeah.
Hawaiians.
Yeah.
You know, like that comedy, like when he speaks to that community of folks, he's talking specifically to them, right?
I mean, that's the difference between like, I mean, like a George Lopez versus Fluffy,
Sure.
right? Because I mean, George Lopez is super famous, but a lot of his stuff is primarily for a certain community.
Yeah, yeah.
Where like Gabriel Iglesias' stuff is he's just living and happens to be Mexican,
Right.
right? And so it's interesting how comedy evolves, because when we were kind of intaking comedy as an adult, and we were talking about this earlier, that like who are the comics that we were talking about that primarily did cultural shit. I forgot some of the
Rex.
names.
Like Rex.
Yeah. Rex.
Rex Navarrete.
Ron Jossel.
No.
Or-
Like
Who are you talking about?
not really, because I think Rex was like very specific to Filipinos, but like people that got viral in the mainstream, but just did cultural material.
Oh,
Russell Peters?
Talking about
Yeah, like Russell Peters.
Russell
yeah, the like
Peters.
early 2000s
Right.
comedians.
Early Margaret Cho.
Yeah. Margaret Cho is famous for a bunch of different reasons, right? Like,
Right. But
She's
early
been a-
Margaret Cho.
right. But I'm saying like Russell Peters isn't so
relevant.
like
Culture,
mainstream,
Right.
like Hollywood relevant right
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, we're saying like Russell Peters, Angela Johnson,
Angela Johnson.
Angela Johnson. Wow.
She got famous for the nail thing.
Carlos Mencia.
Yeah,
Clearly,
those
like,
different
dead.
reasons.
Yeah.
That's different reasons too.
Dude.
He was a rip-off artist too, right?
Yeah.
According to some.
And then some. I mean, there's some local rip-off artists that we got. So
Yeah.
you know, it's all at different levels.
Right.
I don't know, man. Do you think, like, as a musician, is it valid to build a career on stuff isn't original?
It's interesting because earlier when you brought up Bruno Mars,
Right.
I saw I forget the TikTok creators, who it was, but basically talking about how and why folks like Bruno and like Eminem are respected, using black artistic mediums, and they're doing well. It's because both of them know that they're a guest within that community,
Okay.
and they're not.
Yeah.
They're not like. They will always be a guest, so they're treating it with respect in sort of using that analogy. When you're a guest in somebody's home, so
What do you mean guest
So it's like they know the rules to play by. They know how to like
in music?
in music. Yeah, in like
In certain genres. of
in like
music, too.
yeah,
genres.
genres. Yeah. So like Bruno Mars does a lot of like R&B, just
Soul.
like soul, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
he knows he is a guest within that genre, and he knows who his influences are, and he's very like upfront about who's influencing him, and he's not like claiming to be, black by any means, but he's very much just like, okay, I'm using this medium, I'm doing it at a good level, and like doing it honorably.
Yeah.
So it's interesting in that way where it's like that's I think it's like a good way to play sort of creation where it's like, me wanting to do a lot of like jazz, hip hop influence art and like knowing that I'm a guest in those mediums and like, knowing my respects, knowing the greats within that community.
Do you think that guest system of approach only applies to art?
No, I don't think so.
Like, do you think it applies to sports as well?
Mm.
Right? 'Cause you're
Interesting
like,
take.
oh, I'm a guest here, but you're like bowling. You know what I mean? Like, does it matter as much?
I think it's something that's like a culture rather than just an activity. If that makes sense. like sports is like an activity, as there is like culture around
like
sports,
soccer,
right?
right?
But it's like the sports kind of transcend ethnic circles in a sense.
Like some art forms.
At least talking about like the mainstream sports, like
Right.
baseball, football, soccer.
So you think some art forms have that? I mean, obviously music and the genres of music, right? Because like being a guest in the country genre,
Right.
you think that applies the same?
I think same, yeah.
Okay.
Or even just like looking at certain, there's like Japanese musicians who are like huge fans of
Like emo
like
punk.
folklorico, and like
Ah.
there is a folklorico group,
Mariachi
Yeah.
and
mariachi,
stuff
that
like
get
yeah.
invited to like the big folklorico convention, and it's like everyone like celebrates them, and
Yeah.
they do a good job, and they do it well to the T. So it's like, they know they're a guest. Like obviously they're not Mexican, but they love the art form so much that they're gonna do it right.
So what do you think
and
the line
respectfully.
is for between that and cultural appropriation, right? Like if I see a group that does taiko,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not necessarily Japanese, but like let's say it's how do I do this without being super offensive? I just need a random culture.
Just say it.
What if it was like all Latino men doing taiko, right? What's the difference between that being appreciative and appropriated? Because I think as artists, we're always trying to find the line, right?
I think it's to your point. It's like the respect thing, right? Like if you respect the art, you respect the craft. You're a student of it, and can have appreciation of, and in doing that, honoring the actual art itself. I think that shows a level of I don't, I, acceptability.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna
You
be
know what I mean?
appropriation no matter what. It's more of a matter of is this a positive appropriation, like a respectful appropriation, or a misappropriation? You know what I mean? Because like you doing taekwondo, you're not Korean,
Correct.
but you've been practicing taekwondo for
Yeah, and
decades.
learning the customs and being respectful.
Right.
To it's like I'm here, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
Like let's fight, motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's like when you're claiming it as your own, or like repackaging it as your own. Like I've seen somebody try to there's like these like two white women that they like reappropriated mahjong.
Oh, I heard
or
about that.
something.
Oh,
Yeah.
They made
Yeah.
their
that
own
was
mahjong
a
set.
minute ago.
Yeah, this is like wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yo, yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, now
So when they try to monetize it, basically.
monetize. Yeah. Well, there's still a way to monetize and be respectful because
Right.
Bruno Mars is making a lot of money, and he's still being respectful to the craft and
Yeah.
what it is. Now comes the real question. What do you think about white guys doing Tagalog on TikTok?
It's the whole lead up.
It's
Yeah.
the whole. We spent
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a tough one, dude. That's a tough one because one is like, I got respect for someone who's willing to like learn any kind of language. That's a thing. But then I see a white guy speaking in Tagalog, and I don't know a lick of Tagalog. That irritates the hell out of me. And then everything else. I mean, there's other things around it too that just kind of annoy me, I guess. I'd have to think about it deeper, like what exactly annoys me. But knee jerk is like,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's also like the fact that they're using it as like Filipino baiting, just like as a way to garner views and like
Maybe
build
that's
their
what
own platform.
comes up, yeah.
Because if it's somebody that's like, oh, I like know Tagalog and just like want to teach other people Tagalog or like culture, like I'm trying to also like figure out what the line is for me of where does appreciation cross into the line of like colonization in a sense, or like
Dude,
um
I'm gonna learn German and make
Yeah.
German content.
right.
But then I also got to check too for myself is like maybe this person has some Filipino lineage. You know what I mean? Like I look at Ann Curtis. If I saw her down the road, coming up the road, like or like I bumped into her into the street, I wouldn't think that she really speaks Tagalog. But if she spoke Tagalog, I'd be like, oh, what? Are you appropriating? Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing is, when you're monetizing my country people, like my culture, right? It's fucked up to say because, like, I'm always under the belief, like, yeah, go fucking get your bag, unless it's disruptive or hurtful, and I think it's a bit hurtful because, like, on both sides too, right? Because for one, our culture is so like delighted and fucking what's the word? Not variety. It's so like novelty. Thanks. It's so novelty of like, oh, it's a foreigner speaking our language. Your Tagalog is so good. Adobo, adobo, adobo. Right? Like, like you can just learn those phrases in a day, go into any Jollibee and put in an order. Right? Like, take it. I do understand that there are foreign content creators that are fluent in Tagalog, because I don't consider myself fluent. There's some times where I'm like, what the fuck is this? What are you saying to me? Right? That's why Jollibee got pictures, man. But
Right.
like,
And numbers.
yeah, when you try and like monetize based off taking advantage of that phenomenon, that's kind of fucked up. Because it's like, it's almost preying on
Ignorance.
ignorance, preying on weakness, even. Where it's like, you know, on the street where the guy with the cymbals and the little monkey that plays the cymbals?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, give the monkey
Oh,
$1.
yeah,
We're just giving the
yeah.
monkey $1 every time.
Yeah. Now when you say it that way, now I'm just gonna hate on everybody.
It feels bad, right? No, like, it just feels bad to me that, like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because then I'm thinking about there's this other YouTuber that I watch every now and then. He lives in Japan. He's from Canada. He's not Japanese in his own ethnicity. Like, he's like Chinese and American, Canadian. But like his whole content is like he goes and like, oh, this is what my life is like living in Japan, and he's fluent in Japanese, and like he's able to converse, do like, oh, somebody who works in a factory, somebody who works at like a cafe, like follows them around and like interviews them that way, where he is building his platform, and that's like his whole job now as a YouTuber. But it's never any like, oh, I'm gonna like shock local Japanese folks with my own knowledge of Japanese.
Right.
It's like he's using it as a way to like tell stories of, you know, he's a guest in Japan.
the world,
in the world, as opposed to like trying to,
Or like making
take
them
advantage.
feel like they're better. Like, fuck those creators in the Philippines. Look how strong my American dollar is. That's the content I hate the most. Where it's like, foreigner in the Philippines, how much is it, ate? And they're like 30, and they're like, that's like 5 cents. Here's $3.
Yeah.
Yo, fuck you, bro.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think that goes back to what you guys were talking about as far as like respect and being a guest.
Yeah.
Like, you understand you're a guest in a house.
Right.
Like, don't go shitting in the fucking master bedroom, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Don't pee on the wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
really.
set up your own MLM in our living room.
Yeah. I get that.
You know, what about you, Jay? What do you think?
Sorry.
I mean, that is pretty interesting because, like, when I do see it on TikTok, I do get annoyed like you do, and I tend to scroll past it. But I also want to, like, still feel like, okay, what's the reason why he's doing this? Like, what's his backstory? Did he used to live over there and stuff like that? He did grow into the culture. I think all of that, like, kind of still plays a part. And I was also thinking about the guest thing too. It's like, I just don't think that he outright makes us feel like he is a guest to the culture, even though he's grown in it. But who am I to judge? At the same time, it's just not my content for me. It's like, I know I'm not the
Targeted
demographic, and like, if this is gonna be a gateway for someone to get into the Philippine culture, even if it's through a white guy, then like, as much as I hate it, if they ended up going through the white guy to find out a Filipino person and then, like, make the ball, you know, a gateway, then it'd be good. But it's just not for me, so I scroll. Because I really just don't know his story, and like, I mean, history.
Yeah.
No history.
His
Story. But doesn't mean I can't really find it annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Right.
like, like irked by it because
Yeah.
I also am like, I don't speak fluent Tagalog. I know the words and I see it, and my friends send it to me, and I'm just like, don't send that to me no more. Like I straight up was like, I'm not
Dang.
gonna watch this video.
Yeah, you sent me that text this morning.
Yeah.
Don't send this to me.
I'm not gonna watch this video.
I'm like, dude, it's Bomba. Just you don't have to read it.
It's
Just watch.
it's his favorite Bomba
Just,
stars.
just don't think about me while you're watching it.
Yeah.
Dang, the Tagalog Kurt Bomba parody.
Dang, oh my god.
Oh,
Damn, would I watch
I don't
that?
know. I don't
No.
know. I don't know about that one.
Just ha.
I know. That I hate that. Like in the Philippines, we don't say what we say, huh?
We don't say excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of those videos, I'm
That,
just like,
that came up today on my feed.
I hate that, dude.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh yeah, that guy. That guy.
yeah, that guy.
That guy. Watch yourself.
There's a lot of those guys now.
Yeah,
Same
there's many,
thing.
Yeah.
many guys like that.
Mhm.
In the Philippines, we don't say your Tagalog is so good. We say get the fuck out.
Dang.
Pay and leave.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just like a weird time content-wise, and there's only gonna be more of them.
I mean, yeah, there's always going to be more of them. I mean, good on you if you're doing shit. Clean it up maybe, but, whatever.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Everybody's trying to do their thing.
Right.
Right.
You're going to find your lane, right? Like, if you continue the way you continue, the market's going to dictate.
I mean, yeah. It's working for him right now. Like, it's
Yeah,
crazy
but
how it really is working.
When I shoot content in America, seeing how weak my pesos is here.
Yeah, you should do that.
Discount.
Yeah.
Discount.
I mean,
pesos.
here's
Here's 5.
We're appropriating too, right?
I mean, yes, but
We're
what
paying
specifically?
guests, though.
Huh?
Right.
We're paying
we
guests.
are
Oh,
paying
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
We're
That's
the
a way
house.
to
We're
put
the
it.
house.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Pangbahay.
Might have to smoke through that one.
Yeah.
It's a trip, right? Just to think
Yeah.
about like where the
Where the line is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're being a dick, that's the line. If you're being an
Sometimes he isn't a dick. Like, which is he's
yeah, but
like,
sometimes he is a
But
dick.
yeah, like he's a dick without him thinking that he's a dick.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the worst part.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the worst kind of dick.
Yeah.
How much dick have you gotten?
I mean, it's not
Listen.
it's non-existent.
Hey man,
It's okay.
I'm trying to yuck your yum.
Wow, we went to so many different places there.
And that was another episode of the On the Soul podcast. Check out past episodes on all the things. But until then, we've been your hosts. I'm the Dre Magics.
I'm the fictitious professor.
And I'm EJ Villiaman.
Make sure you like stuff and buy hats. Special thanks to our special. I said special twice.
Special thanks.
You want a special thanks, or you want to be a special guest?
A special thanks, special guest.
Wow.
Special
Double
screen.
down.
Yeah, double down.
Just double down.
Yeah.
The gang bang.
Special thanks to our special guest, life empowerment coach, host of the Artistry in Life podcast, and also disc golf aficionado.
What?
Next time, tell him to wear
Really?
pants
This golf?
because we can't see them.
Right here. It's right here.
That's why I've been staring my whole
Nice
time.
big round of applause.
It's a torso and shoes.
Right.
Yeah. Orange.
Yeah.
Orange shoes.
Give it up for Mark King, everybody. Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me on the internets, on Instagram at Artistry in Life, and then also on YouTube at also Artistry in Life. Those are the main places.
Is there artistryinlife.com?
Oh, you can go to artistrylife.com also.
I was just thinking
Like
at Instagram, artistryinlife.com.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
That's Jeeves.
That's
Yeah.
Jeeves.
Yes.
You can find all that stuff in the description below. But until then,
Don't forget your baon.
peace.
O sige na, Pandeez. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Pandesoul Podcast.
And check out previous episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, check out all our social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at pandesoul podcast.
Thanks for laughing, and hope to see you in the next episode, because there's enough pandesal to go around.
And don't forget your baon!